It is. It's podcast day. We're excited. We're digging out there. What have we got? Ooh, yeah.
Dude, it's fucking podcast day.
Takes you back to that time of when you remember what you were doing when you first listened to that album, or
What is going on, you champions? That's right. Yes.
What up?
Podcast day. Two dudes talk music. Yes, and stew. I've been stewing on this shit all day.
What is going on?
Yes.
It's that time. Podcast time. Yeah, spill the beans, man. Spill the beans. We want it. We want this. The exclusive details.
Yeah, buddy.
That time of the week. It's podcast day.
I love it, man. I've been so pumped, and especially for this one. Oh, but let's just, mate. I have been. I'm flogging away, but it's happening. We're gonna do it, dude. First off, how have you been, Raf?
Man, I've been up and down. I'm planning a trip to the US, and the Rage Against the Machine show that I had a ticket for got cancelled. So that kind of sucks. But I mean, obviously, you know, Zach's health comes first. So yeah, hopefully his leg's able to heal up, and they end up doing an Aussie tour or something. I can catch him then. But
you will. They will.
That's a bit of a bummer. But you know, I'm getting my money back, I guess. So it works out okay. I can spend it on something else, I'm sure. How about you, man? What have you been doing? What have you been listening to?
Ooh, I listened to the new Slipknot album today.
Yeah, me too. What did you think?
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was just a real masterpiece of the last handful of albums they've done over the last couple of years, and they've really hit the nail on the head with that whole album. Thought it was fantastic. I was a bit sketched out on that intro track. I was like, what's going to happen here? This isn't...
The first song was very much like Pink Floyd by way of Slipknot. Definitely had Pink Floyd vibe. I don't know, man. I'm not as buzzing on the album as you were.
Yeah?
I had to listen to it the other day. It's all right. Like, I don't think it's bad, but
Yeah, it just reminded me so much of the first album. Just reminded me so much of like Iowa. It's probably much the first three albums. Just for me, it was the first three albums just mashed into one. It was fantastic.
I don't hear it. Maybe I got to listen a few more times. I really didn't hear it.
Loved it.
For me, it felt like a bunch of B-sides off the last album.
Yeah, ooh.
So,
you should do a review of that.
But it's been divisive.
Yeah?
I think.
Well, not a lot of people like Volume 3, and I fucking love Volume 3. I thought that was a fucking fantastic album.
Volume 3 is a great album, but we're old enough to remember when it came out, and everyone was like, "Oh, there's too much clean singing on it."
It's so good.
And then the same thing happened when All Hope Is Gone came out. Everyone ragged on it, and now it's like a classic album. So,
Yeah, I could take that or leave that one. But yeah, and what else? Ooh. And the new Butterfly Effect album, because I'm going to the concert this Saturday. Got babysitters who are going to the Butterfly Effect concert.
I expect a review to go up on the YouTube about it.
Oh yeah, man.
Back on it.
Yeah.
I'm really, really keen. I'm hoping you have a good time, man.
Anything else you've been listening to?
Not all that much, man. I've been playing way too much World of Warcraft this past couple of weeks, so it's been a lot of video game music in my ears lately.
That's good. That's good. Sometimes it's good.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's good, man.
Anyway, shall we get to our esteemed guest?
Oh, dude. So I've been trying to get.
I'll let you do the intro.
Man, I've been trying to get these boys on for ages. Well, ever since I found out they're doing stuff again. So I was just like, mate, we got to. So luckily enough, I'm family friends with Dave, the lead singer from Shinto Katana. Give him a big warm welcome. How's it going, Dave?
Good. I'm a little exhausted. It's been a big week.
Oh, well, look
Past
at
my
that.
bedtime at the moment, but
Oh,
let's do this.
We appreciate you jumping on, and that's a lovely Penrith jersey you're wearing, mate.
Hey, man.
I told you we're not talking about it.
I don't care. I am. I follow neither. Ha ha ha. So, dude, do tell. Redemption came out 2012. That was just such a heavy-hitting album. I listened to that today. That shit aged like a fucking fine wine.
Yeah.
Bro, it's just as good, if not better. I don't know. Just the ears are a bit older, and for that album, man. Give us a bit on why so long in between drinks. So 2012, you brought out Redemption, and they've just started these run of shows again. What is the GO?
So when Redemption came out, obviously the first album came out, huge reception. We're really riding a high off that. Second album came out, mixed reviews. At first, I feel like we made a lot of new fans, but some of the fans of the older stuff were a bit confused by it. And that third album was sort of like a collection of all the good stuff from both albums, we thought. And it was by that point, we were touring like 3 times a year. And, you know, I work full time, always have, and as do some of the other boys. And it was getting a lot, especially for our partners. We were getting to that age where, you know, we wanted to start buying houses, getting married, and the missus was sort of like, you know, every time I had holidays saved up from work, I'd use it touring. So I didn't really take my missus on a holiday for a long time. Not that she encouraged me to stop it, but I sort of started to feel that way, and a couple of the other boys felt that way too. And the reason I brought up the other 2 albums is because it was sort of like, as much as it, for us, and you listen to it now and you say it aged well, we put a lot into it. But a lot of those people weren't there yet, you know what I mean? Like the people who jumped on the second album weren't expecting the third album, and the people that we probably dropped off after the second album, that like the first album, they weren't sort of as cluey to it. So while it was still successful, it was just sort of, I don't know, the band, life used to get in the way of the band, and then it started to feel like the band was getting in the way of life. So we just thought agreed to take a step back with no real plan on getting back together. But, you know, here we are.
Oh, mate. So, COVID...
Can I say as well? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Carl.
No,
Can I just say, 100%, I feel everything you just said about, you know, about everything, you know, going into the band and not, you know, band getting in the way of life getting in the way of band, and things like that. I 100% feel that. I've been through that exact same stuff. I think pretty much anyone who's done music for a decent amount of time in, you know, at any level definitely has an understanding of that. And I don't think anyone who's done it would not blame you for taking that step back. I don't think, as hard as it can be. Like, I had to make difficult decisions as well. As I mentioned prior to that, you know, I used to be in Tensions Arise, and me leaving that band was a very hard decision, you know, because it's like you don't want to, you've put so much into it. It's a sunk cost fallacy, right? You're like, I put so much into it now. If I stop doing it now, I like lose all of that. So I fully appreciate how difficult of a decision that can be. Yeah, I mean, you know, glad to hear that you're getting back at it.
Well,
well, it's kind of like we, you know, all those things you said, you walk away from it, and that it's like, you know, all the things that I wanted to achieve, all the reasons I walked away were to, like, you know, concentrate on some other things I wanted to achieve. I've achieved all that. Like, you know, I've become a father, I've built a business, I've gotten married, I've built a house, you know what I mean? I've done all those things, then it's sort of like, then you sit back and you're like, well, maybe it's time to start doing some music again. Like, I took all that time off and did what I wanted to do. Now, what kind of legacy do I want to build to, like, you know, leave my kids? Like, you know, I can sit here and tell them Daddy used to be in a band, or I can, like, you know, fucking show them.
That is so fucking cool, man. I love that shit. So much respect, man. Well, is this going to become a, like, are we going to find out here? Is this are we expecting new material? Are we expecting bigger tours? Are we expecting more? Like, are we back? Are we going to sit here and say Shinto Katana's back?
Shinto Katana's back, not in the sense it was before. I think at this stage it's less is more type approach. You know, like, we've played 2 shows this year, and I think that would be the absolute max we'd play, at least in Sydney anyway. Who knows what's on the horizon for the next few months, but the things have gone so well, you know what I mean? Like, we tried to do some shows before COVID, and right as the pandemic hit, all that got swept under our feet, like, away from us. And then, you know, just for 2 years sat with, like, a bunch of merch sitting in my garage, and I sort of just had to stop thinking about it, because there's, like, nothing we can do. No one's allowed to leave their house. There's no live music going on. So the more I thought about it, the more depressing it got. So I just put it to the back of my mind. But the original plan was that they were just going to be, you know, one show in Melbourne, one show in Sydney, and that was it. And then we come out of the pandemic, and our friends in Antagonist AD doing a show in Sydney, and they needed a main support. And it was, I think, 3 weeks' notice. We were like, and ahhing, but they convinced us. They were very convincing. And then we thought, all right, we got 3 weeks to get ready for this. No one's picked up an instrument in 2 years. I haven't fucking sang one note in 2 years, and yeah, half the band got COVID 1 week, and then half the band got COVID another week. So realistically, we had 1 week to get together. It was the most stressful week of my life. And then we hit the stage, and it couldn't have gone better, you know. And it was in that moment I was like, well, there's something here. We can't just walk away from this at that point. And you know, then the original shows with Confession, Craft the Messages, he wanted to still do them, and we obviously just did that on the weekend, and that was incredible. So yeah, we're back. We're definitely, you know, I said to the crowd before our last song, I was like, you know, it's been a long time since we've done this, and I didn't think we'd ever do it again, but here we are, and everyone shows up, and you make us feel special. If you keep showing up, we'll keep doing it.
That's fucking cool, man. Congratulations. Like, yeah, nothing but congratulations. It's like, yeah, it's so good that you just hop back into it. It's like you never left. Was it hard to get back into? Like, grabbing the mic again and just sort of like 1 week's notice. How is that sort of bumping for you?
Vocals were probably the easiest thing. I didn't have any problem stepping into that. So I was surprised. Like, you know, it's like riding a bike almost. When we got into the studio and started practicing, I was like, okay, I can still do this. That's fine. It was more like, you know, you can do as much cardio in the gym as you want. You can lift as many weights and all that. But once you get on stage, like song 2 gassed, you know what I mean? It's the
lights. It's the lights, man.
Yeah, doing the vocals was fine, but yeah, goddamn, that first show I was struggling to breathe. This show I did a lot more cardio leading into it, so I was a lot better off this time. But yeah, other than that, it was just like, you know, the logistics, like trying to organize, you know, backlines, stuff like that. Shit that I'd forgotten was so fucking annoying. Because like the headlining band was obviously from New Zealand, so we were the Sydney band. They wanted us to sort backline, and a lot of bands are going digital now, which I hate. So we're trying to sort cabs. They want to use cabs, and we have to, yeah, just those sort of annoying headaches. You try and a couple of weeks out, you try and book everything in, and then you know what it's like. 2 days before the show, things start falling through, and you're just stressed out.
Mm-hmm. The exact reason why I have no desire to get back into it.
Yep.
I don't have that kind of patience no more.
Feel you, bro.
Well, man, like I went to a show in like months ago now, but yeah, it was a full digital lineup, not one cab on stage. It was just, they at least had proper drum kit, but there was not one cab on stage, and first band got away with it. Every other band after that, something went wrong.
Yeah. Hey, no, there's nothing sounds as good as a real amp and a cab on stage, right, mic'd up. And so, like, bands playing before us at that first show that were going digital, honestly, they did us a favour, because, like, as great as they sounded, as soon as we set up those amps, it was like the sound was, difference was huge. You know what I mean? Like,
nothing beats a hot valve estate amp. It's just the
Exactly.
the wattages, the gigajoules it just pumps out.
Yeah, you feel it.
You do, especially on stage. We were talking about this a couple of months ago, weren't we? At Jordan's birthday, and you were saying to me that the one thing that you miss on stage now is the vibration, that depth that you get from having the amps sitting right behind you, right next to you, what you get on stage. And I never thought of it like that. It was the best. It was the best fucking, yeah, best thing I've heard.
The guitarist Joel, he's like there's people, bands that I'm playing with now that are like, you know, in their mid-20s that say when they were 15 years old they got into guitar and all the things that they were into in guitar, like they became gear nerds basically, but their whole setups were based off, like, you know, Joel from my band's setup, because he's always just had this ridiculous guitar tone, and I'm no guitar tech, so I won't get into it, but my favourite thing always was I'd always stand side stage or like near the stage when every band was setting up, sort of listen to their tone. And nothing ever G'd me up more than when I listened to when we were setting up and Joel would play his guitar. As soon as I heard that tone, I'm like, yep, let's go.
Yeah. Because Raf's in the same sort of field as that. He doesn't like the digital. If it's used properly.
When it's used properly, and when you've got an engineer that knows how to utilize it, it's fine. If you've got the right level of stuff, it's much more accessible now than it was 10 years ago, right? Like 10 years ago, you'd have if someone had a digital thing, it was like, it was the old Line 6 pod, the little orange, the red bean, and it just sounded horrible, right? It just had it was digital, and the cab sims were horrible on it, and it was no good, and you still had to run it through a real amp anyway, and it just destroyed the whole sound. Nowadays, with the right gear, and the right setup and the right engineer, sound fine. But the problem is, most of the time, there's something missing in that chain. Is basically my stance on it, right? Like, I mean, whenever I'm recording guitars for anything now in the studio here, I don't use an amp because I don't need to. On stage, we've had our guitarist go digital on occasion. Sometimes he uses an amp, sometimes he goes direct in with a digital setup. It's, again, with the right engineer and the right digital setup, you're fine. The problem is, a lot of the time people they'll just go out and buy like a $2,000 fucking, digital thing, and then don't know how to properly use it. Yeah. And that's where it falls down, I think. So there's advantages and disadvantages, and I personally find it's like, if it's done properly, it's great. I mean, you look at most of the big bands now, any of the big bands out there, pretty much all of them use a digital setup. With I've
seen Thyart use it and Alpha Wolf use it, and it's been incredible. There's a lot of
free.
Very clean on stage, and you have the in-ears, which means that you don't even have any monitors or fold back there, and just makes it for way less feedback issues. Much means that the drums sound is cleaner because it doesn't have all this other all the other ambient instruments going on. So maybe even the drums use triggers. It makes it's much cleaner, but there's you're right. Like, when you've got an amp there's just a different vibe about it. So yeah, it's good and bad, I guess, like everything.
Well, there's a reason why Slayer has a fucking wall full of them. Whenever they play,
no one's used a real amp wall for ages, mate.
Yeah, I know, but it's still cool to see. I enjoy it.
Posing is what it is, and the irony is that so many Slayer fans take the piss out of people for being posers. But then they won't want to admit the fact that Slayer just uses fucking a bunch of boxes to look like amps on stage, and is posers in doing so.
Yeah, okay, that's a fair call.
Be mad. I'm not wrong.
You're not a Slayer fan, are you, Raph?
Look, I like, I joke. I joke because it winds up the Slayer fans.
And they're so easy. They are so easy.
Yeah, I like to say, like, my mum calls her vacuum Slayer because it's been around since 1982 and it still fucking sucks. Like, look, they're an easy target because they get wound up so it's a drop of a hat.
Very true.
I love it. So all you boys grew up together, eh? Is it okay? So is this lineup here the lineup from 2012?
No.
So what's original? Take us through.
So it's almost. So it's just the drummer. The original drummer, Joel, Mitch, and I. Okay, so quick history lesson. We played 3 shows in the start where I played bass. We had another singer, Scott. But after the 3rd show, he like overnight moved to Queensland to get into drag racing, and we're like, okay. We had shows booked, so we played with a band called what were they called? Idle Threats, and the singer of Idle Threats became the singer of Relentless, but their bass player offered to come fill in for us. Well, I did vocals until we found a full-time singer, and I'd go back to bass, and we never found a full-time singer. So,
and the rest is history.
That's it.
3 albums, and
3 albums.
And you did one of those go number 1 somewhere?
So oh man, you scratching my head now. I believe every album we had at one stage was most downloaded in some country. But I know when Redemption came out, it went to #1 in the metal charts and the rock charts briefly on iTunes. It was only on the day it came out and the next day. And then Nickelback crept back and got us.
Doesn't matter how.
We had
doesn't matter if it's only there for
a couple of days.
1 minute, 1 hour, 1 second, mate. It was
Day,
there.
Yeah,
That's it. I've got the photo to prove it.
You can always claim you're like a #1 charting band. Once you've got
That's it. I got a photo of us above Nickelback and the Beatles.
There you go.
Oh, get
My
that
dad
shit
could not
framed. Get
Yeah,
that
fuck
shit
frame
framed.
I should. It pops up in my memories every year. I see it.
Oh, mate, I
get
get
that.
Get that shit framed and beat off to it every now and then. Jesus. #1, baby.
So this back to what we were saying.
Yeah.
This time around, we wanted our old drummer to get involved, and he is involved to an extent. He just doesn't want to play live, so which is fine. He's come to both shows and he's hung out and he's loved it. But we got our good friend Dean from Relentless, and he plays in a band now called Primitive Blast as well, and he's helping us out playing our live shows for us.
Awesome.
That's good. I mean, however you can make it work, man. However you can
Yeah.
make it work. That's what's important.
That's it.
And there's something here that's in the notes. You had Frankie from Amur that featured in the song Solitary.
That's right.
How'd that come? How'd that happen?
We toured with them. So when they came to Australia in 2011, I think. Yeah, we were the main support for that whole tour.
Fuck yeah.
And we just got really close with those guys. So it was never even hesitated when we asked him. But also the same album, he's the less famous of the two, but he's the most important to us. Singer of On Broken Wings, John Blake. He was their merch guy for that tour. I remember we were sitting in a van one night and we were talking about first tattoos, and I started laughing and he looked at me and I was like, speaking of first tattoos, and I got this little scribble on the back of my neck, which was the artwork from their first album, and he fucking started losing his mind because they hadn't been in a band for a while at that point. He was just chuffed that we knew who he bloody was, and then I think in Mel we said, man, we used to cover one of your songs when we first started, and he's like, which song? And I told him, he's like, play it in Melbourne, I'll sing. And I'm like, fucking hell. So we played it in Melbourne, he sang, and I just jumped in the pit and started moshing, and I feel like one of the most surreal moments ever was moshing in a mosh pit in Melbourne, looking up at the stage and watching my best mates play one of my favourite songs with my favourite singer singing. So he did a guest spot on that album as well, and it's funny because everyone loses their mind over Frankie being on it, but the one that we lose our mind over is John Blake. No one even knows who he is.
Hey, that's cool, man. It's cool. It's like it's special to you guys. That's what matters.
Well, when we first started, when we were still in high school, we were like, what do we want to be like? It's like Bury Your Dead and On Broken Wings, and that was like it. Just rip them off.
We all did it. We all do it.
Everyone did it, man. You look at all these fucking bands, especially I think a lot of the Sydney bands. You know, they're like a lot of them started out, just trying to sound exactly like one or two of their favorite bands. So
Deftones sounded like Tool when they first started.
Yeah,
I heard one or two of their demos. They were terrible.
Really I haven't heard the demo.
Don't. Oh, you do? Yeah, because he really tried to put that whole Maynard thing on. But man, he sounds so much better now. He found his voice. Good on Cheeto.
So I gotta ask, you're someone that's been in, in and around the Aussie and Sydney metal hardcore scene for a long time now, right? I don't know if you were not really. I don't know if you were kind of going to shows in the interim between when you were doing the band, or if you kind of kept mostly away from that. But what are you finding are some of the key differences from, or how does the scene compare now to what it was back in in the early days when you guys were starting things out, like back in 2018?
So
it's 15 years ago now. There's obviously going to be big cultural shifts in that time.
So yes and no. I remember the few years towards the end of our first run, like from like 2010 to 2012, there was a lot of people started splitting off and being like, and choosing their subgenres and being like, I only go to these shows, I only go to those shows. Whereas 2005 to 2009, I just remember everyone being mates. Like I'd go to any show, I'd go to punk shows or whatever, and everyone sort of knew each other and everyone was friends and stuff. And towards the end there, everyone had a band and this band was beefing with this band and stuff like that, and they were sort of lost that unity, I guess you'd call it, so shows were suffering because groups of friends would only go to certain shows and not support other bands because of this bullshit reason and stuff like that. And I just remember there was a lot of that when I got out of it. So when we did get out of it, I wasn't going to shows that much. I think one of the key reasons
I experienced a lot of that same stuff in that period too.
Pretty toxic.
I think one of the key reasons that it was such an easy decision to come back was just before the pandemic hit. I did start going to a few shows, and a lot of the older people that I used to know had started turning up again, and a lot of the younger people were sort of coming up to us and telling us stories about when they saw our bands when we were kids and stuff, and we all became friends. And now it feels like 2005 again, where everyone's just mates. It's just like I'm the old dude now, and I'm hanging out with the old dudes, but the young dudes are all around us, laughing and carrying on as well. And it just feels, like you said, that toxicity doesn't seem to be there. And if it is, I'm not seeing it, or I'm not exposed to it.
Either way,
feels like a good vibe. Feels like a good vibe out there at the moment.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. I mean, I've found, obviously, I'm up in Brisbane now, and the rock scene. I'm not too much in the metal scene up here, but in the rock scene, especially up here, it's very much that same kind of vibe. Like all the bands want to lift each other up, support each other, and especially in the wake of the pandemic impacting everyone, hurting everyone, you'd think people might get a bit competitive for spots and a bit sensitive about their placement on the card or all that sort of stuff. But people seem to be pretty happy to be just playing shows, being around people, seeing having people come to their shows. People are going out to a lot of shows, I think now, especially. I mean, pre-sales are still, a little bit, but people are definitely going to shows again, and the atmosphere seems to be fairly positive. So that's what I've found.
Absolutely.
I agree. I'm experiencing similar stuff up here, so I'm glad to know that that's happening in Sydney as well.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
It's about time it happened in Sydney. Just everyone love everyone. Geez, just go play shows together. Go outside, play shows.
Look, if you have a problem,
a lot of the even dudes that were my age were guilty of it. You'd see these young people walk into shows and they sort of never been to a show before, and I'd see people teasing them for how they were dressed, like they don't fit in and stuff like that. I'm like, well,
everyone has.
You're going to make that person not feel. You're going to make that person not feel welcome. They're not going to come back. So you want, and then you jump on stage and you wonder why no one comes to your shows, because you tease everyone that walks in. And when I was a kid and started going to shows, all the old people would come up and introduce themselves and be like, "Haven't seen you here before. What's your name?" And I'd start talking to them. And they're like, "You're a legend. Like, listen to this band." And I'd be like, "Sick." I used to love that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's the way it should be. We look to our elders for guidance and wisdom, not fucking judgment and cruelty.
If I go somewhere and I feel like everyone's looking at me, laughing at me, I'm not going back there.
Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, it's bad enough that half the time you feel like the oldest fuck in the room at half of these shows, and then they got to go take the piss out of you.
The only downside I find to it is if I'm talking to someone that's younger and newer in the scene, is I struggle not to sound like I'm being patronising or being like the old that's trying to. You should check this out, or you should check, try this, or blah, blah, blah. And then I realize, hang on, I might be coming across as, as patronising, or as like I'm talking to you.
I struggle with that with my wife every day, bro.
I hope she's not watching. We don't want to get in trouble, man.
Oh, we got a follower. We got a new follower. Oh, X Paddles. Thank you for the follow.
Paddles, thank
And
you for the follow.
Hazard Halo and Daddy Frank, much love. Thank you for jumping in on the chat. Jeez,
Always love Daddy.
they're
Daddy
regulars.
in there.
Regulars.
Paddles is X Paddles is actually our bass player.
Oh,
There you go.
legend! There you
Yeah.
go.
Fuck
Thanks
yeah,
for the
dude.
follow, man. Muchly appreciated. We always need that shit.
Yeah. So, are you guys? Obviously, look, you've had a couple of shows. You probably got some stuff lined up as well. There, are you guys talking about recording or maybe releasing any new material, or are you just sort of not having those discussions yet? Or is that something you're not wanting to talk about yet publicly? Like, where are things at around that?
There's nothing official to report. We are discussing, like, you know, like obviously things going well with the couple of shows we've played, and I guess like no one wants to just hang around and well, us personally, we don't want to just like, you know, keep hanging around playing the same old stuff. So we will start working on new material soon. I guess it's a case of like, you know, if we like it, we'll release it. We'll see how that goes. Who knows?
Yeah.
We
Just
might write
play to
some
the
stuff
just
that'll be
play to the
absolutely
YouTube
horrible.
algorithm. Just play to the fucking algorithm of Spotify and just release singles. We got Hazard Halo on the chat who said you guys have come a long way since Milner Fest.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
was
we got
that?
some people- we got
That's
some
Hazard
people-
Halo. That's Hazard Halo. You guys made some waves, like some serious friggin' waves between 2008 and 2012 with those 3 album releases, and even prior to that, like, yeah. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you that you said yes and that you could jump on. So thank you again.
I'm sorry I didn't get on sooner. It probably worked out better that we couldn't talk about the 2 shows instead of 1. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a crazy couple of
All right,
months.
mate.
I've been-
Look, this stuff.
Sorry I
happens.
haven't
You guys,
jumped on
you guys
sooner.
been busy. There's no need to apologise for it at all. It's schedules are what they are, my man.
That's it,
Don't
man.
even trip.
Oh man, honestly, I don't know who in their right mind would be a dad, a business owner, and all this other shit, and then try and be in a band again.
Well, that was going to be my next question. It's like,
My drummer is
yeah, oh, man, Zach is a different species of his own, but
But runs a business, also works for someone else, also raising a family, also plays drums for Skunk Bone, also plays drums for Nuclear Vision. Like, the guys.
Some people are just sick in the head, man.
suckers for
In the best
punishment.
way.
But you
In the
like
best
you sort of like I appreciate the whole thing about the legacy for your kids because man, that's hectic. It's such a good, you know, you've done like you said, you've done the business thing, you've built your house and stuff like that. But it's all about chasing the dream, and the dream is man, fucking get on stage and just kill it. And
That's it. And I think now too, like I realise, you know, I guess 10 years ago you asked me what the dream is. It's like, you know, I want to play music and I want it to be my job, and but I want to work a normal job, you know. And now I look at band being my job as like the worst thing I could ever do because you have to be on the road all the time, like away from kids, family, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like I'd much rather what we're doing now. Like, you know, like my life's pretty insane, but you know, if I get to jump on stage now and then and do this, then that's a bunch of fun, and and if we're not doing it as often, you know, it's more special.
it is
We've
especially.
definitely found the sweet spot, I think.
Well, even after 12 years, you guys are still a massive following on Facebook and across all your socials. That hasn't dropped off.
Mate, it's just as surprising to me. Like the first show, I think the most stressful thing was like, are people still going to care? Like I had no idea if that would.
I saw
if
videos
anyone
of that
would even-
fucking first show, me. Motherfuckers were going off on your set. Motherfuckers were going off. I don't like hardcore mosh pits. Saying that, I don't like this whole and the whole jumping off people's backs in. But people were doing that. I love watching it. I don't like doing it. I love watching it. But man, it looked fucking insane. And like after a 10-year hiatus, and you come back and you fucking do that. That is something special.
Honestly, like I said, leading up to that whole show, I had no idea, and it was late notice too. Like that show the bill was already sort of set, headlining band was Antagonist, and we just got added as a support band last minute. So even though there was heaps of people in the room, they could have just been there to see Antagonist. You know what I mean? Like I had no idea what to expect, and then as the feedback starts coming in, and I just walked on stage and I just looked at the crowd, and everyone just started screaming. I was like, "We're gonna be fine."
Yeah.
Fine.
Well, your bass player said, "Who let this mug on?"
Blame Carl.
We did. I've been hammered, mate. Have we tried? Oh, yeah, you guys are coming on Beer Buddy, and we're just gonna sit there and get blind and just talk a whole lot of smack and watch all your old videos, and it's gonna be awesome. But that'll be later.
I don't drink beers, but he'll definitely come on and show some embarrassing shit.
Yeah, sweet. I like that. Raph, you were going to say something before I rudely jumped in.
Oh, no. I was just gonna say, like, that's like, yeah, the fun part, like, coming back after a break like that, it's always a worry. It's always a worry. I mean, I've had a couple, to a lesser extent, but I've had a couple of breaks between various bands where I'm like away from the stage. You know, I'm away from the stage. I'm not really playing much music. I'm not really doing much of anything. And then after a few years, I'll join a new band or something and be like, right, can I still do it? Right? Can I still do it? And it obviously people are there for the band, but at the same time, it's like, do people even care about that it's me getting up there again? You know, and I mean, me and the Tensions Arise boys have been talking about maybe trying to do something, and it's a big question, because it's like, you know, Tensions Arise has been away for a while now. It's been about 5 years, I think, and I mean, I've been out of the band for 10 years now as well. So it's like, we went and got the music back online for everything, but that music's up now on all the platforms and stuff, and it's like testing the waters. Are people interested? You know?
Yeah. The last thing you want to do is do it and have no one show up.
Man, it's a lot of work and preparation, and it's a scary thing. Like we sacrifice all this time, effort, and money as well. Like you got to spend money to get things ready, and then could just go belly up. You never know. But I think you guys will be right. And we did the same thing. Our first album went up on Spotify, Apple Music, and all the streaming platforms, and it hadn't been on there for ever. People have been asking for it, and then when that went up, so I guess that was sort of a indication that we could do this. We could do this.
Yeah, and it's that's the advantage, I guess. You know, when you're coming back to it from the way that you guys are, you get to set your own schedule with it. Back in the day when you're starting out, you're like, you got this idea in your head that you're gonna get discovered, or that some magical miracle event's gonna happen, and you're gonna get you suddenly things are gonna take off, and you're gonna be able to do it for your career. And the sad reality is, for the vast majority of bands, that does not happen.
Especially locals.
Yeah, you kind of, and I think it's, it's sad for you as an individual, because you're like, oh, I kind of wanted this to happen, and then I think as a musician, when you have, and like for all of us being like a bit older, having done it for a number of years now, like we can look at all these bands coming up, and it's easy for us to be cynical and sit there and go, you'll learn, you'll realize, you'll have the realization. But coming back to it now, you can kind of approach it on your own terms a bit more. You can go, what am I wanting to get out of this? And you can come at it with a realistic expectation and the right mindset. You're not doing it to try and make it big. You're not doing it because you have this imagined future where you're touring the world. You're doing it because it's a bunch of mates. You want to play the music that you like, and you have fun doing it. And this is your, and this is how you hang out with your mates. You get to go up and do that and share the music that you've loved creating with people that vibe on the music the same as you do, and you get to do it on your own terms. And then you get to go back home and sleep in a really nice, soft, comfortable bed, rather than a shitty, $100 hotel bed.
Exactly right.
Afterwards. And for those of you've got kids, you're doing something your kids might get to see, right? Like if you can tee up an all ages show or something, great. Like the kids literally get to come and see you do that, and it's not just looking at pictures or videos of you when you were 10 years younger and 20 kilos lighter. And
in your prime.
and can go, oh, that's what I used to be. And they're like, that's you. That doesn't look like you. And it's like they can see it in the flesh. They can experience that. You can share that with them in a way that it just isn't possible if it's only in video or pictures. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's it's a special thing to be able to get back, and not every band has that opportunity. Not every band is able to do that. So I'm stoked that you guys are getting up there again and able to do that.
But you know what happens with laws of nature, right? You don't want it, now you're going to get it. That's just the way it works. Oh, I don't want this no more. Oh, you're going to get it.
Look, I would never tell anyone not to start a band. I reckon more people should start bands. It's the greatest thing in the world, but always have that plan B. The best thing I ever did was I finished my apprenticeship while I was doing everything. It was rough, but doing that apprenticeship, that's what pays the bills now. That's what feeds my family, you know what I mean? And the music, I'm still having a great time doing it. Yeah. We can't all be Parkway Drive.
Oh, man.
And I mean, I see
fucking good on there, mate. How good's that? I love
so many
Deep Blue, best album ever.
So many of these bands.
Man, that's where it started to drop off for me.
I thought.
Close your eyes for me. I got a soft spot for that. Because that's the one. I went to every Sydney show they played when that came out.
Well, mate, we've got someone that completely disagrees with you. We got Nicky Hunter here saying that Shinto are way better than Parkway.
Well, thank you, Nicky. I know who Nicky is as well.
Nicky with the hot take.
Oh, mate! I listened to the album today, and I'm like, this gives it gave me Deep Blue vibes. I'm sorry to say, I know you probably where it dropped off, but it just hit. It just hit so well. Fuck it. Oh, I loved it. So good. You look like I was literally just sitting at work, chucked the headphones in, and mate, you got me through the good chunk of me morning.
Well, thank you. It didn't pay dividends quite like Deep Blue did, I'm sure.
No, but it did. But it did here. That's
the way. That's the way.
Have you got much lined up in terms of shows at the moment? What's the deal in terms of what's coming up?
Nothing booked, man. One of the things we've discussed is we'd like to get on the road and go hit all the other spots we used to hit all the time. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things. We played Sydney twice now, and a lot of people have said he'd come back to Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, this, that. And a couple of bands have hit us up and asked us to do some tours, which we're totally interested in. But I've also said, I couldn't do it like we used to do. I couldn't do 11, 12 shows in a row every day. Yeah. So as long as we can split them over weekends and things like that, then we'll that's sort of the discussed plan. But nothing booked at the moment. A lot of ideas being thrown around, but yeah.
Well, yeah. If you guys do make it up to Brisbane, definitely let me know. I'll be sure to come out to something of that.
I can pretty confidently say we will.
Nice.
I reckon we will. I don't know when just yet, but
that's pretty good. Well, you should, if you want to book a Brisbane show on your own, you should get Nuclear Vision on the show, on the lineup.
You should.
But that's just me self-promoting there.
I'll speak to some people.
So, Kyle, shall we go to the next segment? Shall we go to the quick question quarter?
Yes, we shall. Let's do it. So in this, I'll do the cutaway and then we'll do it.
Hit the thing.
There we go.
All right. Quick question quarter. Basically, we just got a bunch of real quick fire questions for you. You just answer them. You don't have to offer a lot of context. It's just like bam, 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 bam. We'll go through them really quick, and then maybe at the end we can discuss them a little more. Okay?
First answer that comes to mind.
What was your first instrument?
Recorder.
Oh, basic. Yep. Okay. No, that's totally fair. Let's say after recording.
Bass guitar.
Bass was the first one. Nice. You got good taste. You got good taste on that. First album that you ever purchased.
Honestly, I think it was Hanson, the one with Mbop on it.
Yes.
Look, that's the way it goes, man.
Pretty sure it was. It was either that or Savage Garden. It was something fun.
Man, you'd get along with Kazzy, man. He's into
nothing wrong with either of those.
Third album was Black Album, so we went downhill after that.
first live concert you went to?
First live concert, I mean, other than like, childhood Wiggles stuff, it would have been No Use for a Name at the Manly Youth Centre.
There you go. What year was that?
Very early 2000s, probably 2001, 2002, I reckon. Probably earlier. Maybe 2000.
So we're going
Yeah,
back.
punk rock in Manly.
Wow.
Yeah, try and do a punk rock gig in Manly now, you get fucking run out of town. What's an instrument you've always wanted to learn but haven't been able to?
Acoustic guitar. Not that I haven't been able to. I just I think I'll put my son in guitar lessons. I think I'll do them with him.
Okay.
I think that'll be a cool little fun thing we can do, and I'll just watch him get way better than me, like way quicker.
Little fingers
Alright.
and their muscle memory.
That's it.
So if you could pick one big band or artist to open a show for, living or dead, active or not, who would it be?
It's a good question because I guess there's so many. But I think the one band we never played with that I'd love to have played with, and if we ever got to do it, it would have to be the Acacia Strain.
Fuck yeah.
That was just one of those things in, I guess, probably 2008 to 2010 was the dream back then, and a lot of the bands that I dreamt I really wanted to play with, I ended up playing with, but never played with them.
Okay, cool. That's a good pick. Absolutely a good pick there. Who is an artist or band that you're listening to right now that you believe is seriously underrated, that more people should listen to and pay attention
I
to?
wouldn't say underrated, they're just very new. They're a Swedish band called Throne, as in like Throne. Yeah, very much old school Shinto, to be honest, but just with way better production.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's
Nice.
like, a lot of bands. I haven't heard a band like that in years. Like in the current sea of bands, the style we play is sort of almost a not a trip.
So that's like
it's like not a lost art, but just no one does that anymore. And yeah, they popped up, and I think they've got one EP out, and I think they'll blow up real quick soon.
Yes.
okay. So that's like that's the Extended Pain.
Yes,
EP?
yes.
Is it? All right, cool. I'm a subscribe to them on YouTube Music and check that out later. What is something that people may be surprised to learn about you?
Wouldn't say surprised, because I'm pretty put my heart on my sleeve. I'm not ashamed to any of the weird things about me. How much I love Batman, Zelda, and pro wrestling and all that.
It's
Hey,
easily got to be
pro
one of the
wrestling.
biggest Batman fans, other than my mate Matty Petrol. It's top tier Batman, Matty Petrol and Dave.
Mate, don't get me started on pro wrestling. I'll talk your fucking ear off about it.
He loves
Who's
it.
your favourite?
I'm I'm actually going to WrestleMania next year. I'm going on a trip to America to go to WrestleMania, so I'm pretty.
How good?
pretty
Reckon it'll be Rock vs.
what's-
Roman
okay.
or what?
Ooh, I hope it will, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think Rock's movie schedule is just going to get in the way, or his insurance is going to be like, no, you can't do that.
Most likely.
You're too
Most
valuable
likely.
to do that. But I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up. Okay, cringiest band name or song name that you've been involved with? We've all got those ones from back in the day, of early, when we're trying to be a bit edgy.
I had a I say I had a band, like me and two guys were writing punk songs, and we were going to call the band 22 Ways of Thinking. I didn't come up with it, the guitarist did, but yeah, like back then we thought that was so sick, and I think about that now, and
It's such a deep name, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's got so many levels to it.
Think about it. It's got 22 of them. Just think about it 22 times.
All right. And what is your most controversial music opinion?
I mean, I guess now how much I'm against the whole digital wave of bands playing live. I'm definitely not on that train. I wouldn't call it controversial. I think there's a lot of people that agree with me, but yeah, I can't think of anything super controversial that I think about music. That's
No, that's okay. I mean, look,
that.
it is. I mean, as we saw before, it does spark quite a bit of discussion, and there's always going to be people that are set one way or the other for sure.
My one's Tool's massively overrated. To me,
I don't disagree. I don't know.
In my opinion,
I
it
can't.
pisses people off. But
I mean,
I can't honestly, hand on heart, say that I've given them much of a chance. I've listened to a few Tool songs and pretty much said not for me very early on in the piece.
I mean, look,
love them, hate them.
I saw him live. I saw Tool live once. I managed to score like some free. The only reason I went is because I got some free tickets through like a work connection. And I like the music, but I'm like, okay, as far as live shows go, it didn't really grab me.
See, I
wouldn't pay to see him again.
Yeah, see, I like A Perfect Circle.
See,
Yes.
same here.
Yes.
And,
1,000 times over.
I heard the same thing about their live show. This is going years back. They've probably been before them, but the first time they came to Australia, heard Maynard played behind a curtain the whole show, and you could only just see a shadow of him, a light in front of him, broadcast onto a curtain, and people like it was weird as.
He does that at his Tool shows.
It's very artsy and quirky, and I mean, I don't know.
You're there for the music. You're not there for the show.
Yeah, and I mean,
enough.
if you're there for the music, given they play everything to a click track and they have all these massive, like, basically video clips projected up while they're playing, like, you could get the same experience by sitting in a dark room watching the film clips on a big TV.
Yeah.
Well, you can.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, it's there you go. All right, cool. That was the quick question quarter.
It was.
Time for
Just before we get into that, hold on. So, we've got a new follower.
Yep.
Hemorrhoid Eater, thank you for the follow.
Shout out to Hemorrhoid Eater.
God. Please let that be somebody that we know.
Oh!
Please, if it's not somebody that we know, that is the weirdest shit. Oh my god, hang on,
I'm pretty sure I read that right. I'm pretty dyslexic at the best of times, so... Well, the way I said it now.
Okay, sorry. I've got an update on Milner Fest, which was mentioned earlier.
Oh, we're getting live info.
Milner Fest, I've been messaged by Megan, who we had on a couple of podcasts ago. Milner Fest was a hardcore music festival that her brother put on in their backyard about 15 years ago, and Shinto played there. So that was
damn.
That's what that one was. So big shout out to Megan for dropping that little bit of nugget on us, for giving us that info. So
I remember at Milner Fest, it was at a time when Bury Your Dead's Cover Your Tracks just came out. Very popular at the time amongst the type of people that were there, and we were just gluttons for punishment, I guess. And we played we said this one's a cover, and we played the opening notes, and the whole place started like losing their mind. And then we just stopped and said, "Just kidding," and then the whole party just fucking stacked on me and threw me into the colourblind fence.
Wow.
I have footage of it somewhere. I just have to find it.
Gotta find that shit. And I've got a little bit of chat to read. So we got Hazard Hale asking hey Nikki, like what's going on, and she said she's sitting here in a Shinto jumper. There you go. She's pulled out the old merch. That's hectic. She forgot it was Thursday. Megan messaged her, and now she's on. And then X Paddle said, "Thought you would say 18 Visions for sure."
Oh, you know what? True, man. True. He's right. This is what I mean about getting put on the spot. I would love to play with 18 Visions. It will probably never happen, but that would be so sick.
Yeah, he said for the dream support, like a dream. Yeah, the dream support.
No, you're absolutely right, Pads.
And then he said you're in a band called Captain Planet.
Yes, I was.
I think that's worse than 20.
Changed the name. The name changed to Punch Out. I think after like one show, and then we played. Probably one show was Punch Out.
Oh, and we have
Isn't it crazy?
We have Nikki asking if you got any new merch coming.
I mean, eventually, go buy the stuff online, and when it sells out, we'll get new shit.
That's a salesman right there. That's a salesman if I've ever seen one right there. All right, now it's time for
For everyone's favorite segment.
Favorite favourite.
This is pretty much the whole reason we do the podcast.
Yes, fuck off, Files.
Don't be afraid.
It's time. It's time.
So, if you have not watched this podcast before, if this is your first time, so I don't know, Hemorrhoid Eater, if this is your first time watching the podcast, this is a fuck off file. So what this is we ask our esteemed guest to name 3 things that if they could just snap their fingers and make it disappear from the music business entirely, what would they be? So, Dave, you've had a bit of a time to think about it through the podcast. What's the first thing that you'd get rid of and why?
Did have 3 things, and yeah, we've been talking so much I forgot about them. I think ego.
Yeah, absolutely. It's too many people have an ego that's way above their station, I think. I think it's like Henry Rollins actually has a thing at some of his shows. I don't know if it's actually from that, but it's supposedly from Henry Rollins' shows. And he puts a sign up that says, for all the musicians and everything, it's like the people that run the show are the people that set it up and tear it down. They're here before you and they'll leave well after you. They should get your salary and you should get theirs. Don't think that you're better than these people because you're not. They make everything that you do happen. So, absolutely. As musicians, we rely on sound people, we rely on crew people and lighting people. So it's ego. Just not really that place for it.
That's one that gets brought up a lot on here.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, so ego, I guess. I know there's a reason for it, and I know certain size shows need it. Like barriers at the front of the stage, fucking no thanks. From my perspective, anyway, the first show we played this year had no barrier, and it was a different feeling to the one we just played with the barrier. I made sure I made my way down to the barrier, chased that feeling, but there was something about not having a barrier and just being amongst the crowd. So I'll say barriers, but I do know why we need them at certain size shows. It's not safe.
Yeah, you definitely feel more connected with the crowd.
Definitely.
The barrier there.
Yeah, and the third thing, I hate to keep going back to it, but I would fucking get rid of digital shit. I'd say amps for everyone.
Mate, look, I was thinking about, because I know you, I agree with you wholeheartedly. You'd think by now they would have worked out where you could get the digital effects thing and just at least plug it into a nice big 4-stack Marshall quad. Do you know what I mean? Run it through that, just so you at least got that thing on stage.
I mean, there's I believe that there's like
digital cabs,
pedals you can get that essentially you can run straight from that pedal into the back of a cabinet. You don't need like an amp head.
So our guitarist has one, and I have no doubt that if you fiddle with it and set it up for live sound, you've got the time to do that. It probably sounds dope, right? But I haven't practiced. He had it set up for he's got a home recording studio, so he had it set up for that. And I'm sure through those speakers, and that sounds mad. But just to me, never got that sound and feeling that the PV6505 and a Mesa cab will give you. You know what I mean?
Yes, so much.
Look. I won't say that. I don't think they should get rid of digital. I just I'm looking forward to the day when they can mimic an amp properly.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the day where I witness it anyway.
Yeah, well,
it's probably out there, like you said, with the right engineers and stuff. But
question on the leg. It's a different feeling though when you're out the front of the stage. When you're standing there watching, I guess you don't really notice it that much because if you've got a decent sound engineer, they can really send out that live feel properly. But like you said, it's a lot of balance because I guess a lot of these people use it for home recording and live stuff. And does it have that crossover from when you're just listening to it through 2 little foldback or 2 little monitor speakers, or when you've got a fucking massive sound system and it's got to pump properly?
Yeah, that's definitely part of it too. I think. When I'm doing recordings here, it's all through that digital thing and all the cab sims and impulse responses in the digital setup. And yeah, when you're in that studio thing and it's a much cleaner sound, much cleaner environment, it's easier to get a good sound out of it, because you have less you've got less reflections, you've got less reverberations from under the stage, or you don't know what the PA system at the venue's like. You've got it like tuned to your setup, and you can really play with it and put some plugins on it and just really, really tighten it up. But live, there's a lot more unpredictable factors there. So
yeah, I'm sure it can be dope. I'm just an ignorant singer that rocks up and goes, "That sounds sick," and that sounds shit.
Mate,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Hey, you like what you like, and you like that's the end of it. That's the end of it. You like that warm, crunchy sound from a decent rig.
I could just sound filthy.
Especially with you, like, are you guys still running that sort of same tuning, or are you going to take that step up and maybe do this whole 7 and 8 string thing and really try and like make people shit themselves?
We're still running G sharp, but I know Joel has this whammy pedal he uses, which basically we're playing that brown note. One guitarist is playing the G sharp brown note, and he can actually step on the pedal and it'll take him down an octave. You know what I mean? It just sounds fucking filthy.
So that's good technology. I like that. That's good technology.
Yeah.
I want that. Yeah. I want that. I'm still waiting for it. That'll be the day I know I'm officially old. I'll go to a show and someone will hit a bass note and my bowels will just loosen.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, a lot of bands these days are using that to get their breakdown lower than the rest of the song. They'll get to the breakdown and they'll hit a pitch shift on all their guitars to get it like super low for that extra effect. So it's and that's really common too. I mean, it's really interesting watching the progression of where hardcore has sort of developed from like even from like the original like New York style hardcore, which is very much like rap and metal kind of fused together, through to the post-hardcore stuff in the 2000s with all of the breakdowns and the crowd killing and all that kind of stuff, through to like that super down tune stuff that you get now, like that's almost like death metal, deathcore, but mixed with the hardcore elements as well. Stuff like that Black Tongue and what all these bands are doing now. Loathe, I'm sure, is probably someone you've heard of. Even like what Slaughter to Prevail is doing, mixing a lot of the old school Slipknot sound in with that kind of vibe as well. It's fucking, you can see the influence from all of that through to what a lot of metal is doing now. Which is, I love it. I love watching that influence and seeing how far those bands can take those concepts.
Absolutely.
How low can these bands tune? How slow can the breakdown? How crazy can the vocals get? Like, I'm sure you've heard the stuff that.
How many springs can you put in the back of a guitar to hold that tuning?
That like Will Ramos is doing with Lorna Shore and all that sort of stuff. It's just like, I love that shit's getting really crazy now, because that's the shit that I love finding these days. I love finding the experimental shit, the stuff that's heavier than anything else, lower than anything else, like that's weird and wonderful from all over the world. That's the shit that gets me excited as a music fan,
You feel surprised when you hear it.
Well, yeah, it's when it's something new, that I haven't heard before. Like all these bands that were such a big influence on me when I was coming into music, and throughout that sort of 2010 period, like the years before and after that, like Machine Head and Lamb of God and all that stuff, like they release new stuff now, and I'm just like, okay, cool, it sounds like your last 5 albums. It doesn't sound like it's anything new.
It hits a point of nostalgia
where I'm like, and it's kind of like, yeah, okay, but they sound, it's difficult for them to do anything new while still sounding like them, I think, is it kind of gets to that point.
You get too new and everyone hates you.
Yeah, whereas if I can find a new band that's doing something that sounds drastically different, like, and this is where I've started to take an interest in bands from like non-Western countries, or where they're mixing in a lot of stuff like Bloody Wood, that are just, again, it's just such a different vibe,
especially with the sitars and shit that they throw in there. And
yeah, and like the traditional.
Have you tapped into the Japanese metalcore market yet?
Little bit, yeah. Deviloof. I'm a fan of Deviloof and some of their stuff, and I'm like, there's like 5 androgynous people there playing instruments that look way too big for them, like 7-string bass and fucking 8-string guitars and everything, and I'm just like, that's pushing the limits of what's extreme music at the moment, and I love it. Fucking love it. So I'm really happy finding a lot of this stuff.
You heard a band called Pale Dusk?
Pale Dusk? No, I have not. Let me look.
Hold
look
on.
that
This
up.
is where we write stuff down.
Pale.
While you're looking
Pale
at that,
Dusk.
Yes.
One
Yes.
word,
PALE DUSK. One word.
Pale Dusk.
It's half the reason why I love doing this. So you find out so much new shit.
They look like fucking BTS. What the hell is that?
Mate, they're the wildest band. They actually came out with Alpha Wolf and they opened those shows, and it was an experience, man. Like they have some of the. First of all, their performance is wild. They're just entertainers, but they'll like 1 second they'll be playing the heaviest, most bone-crushing riff, and half what you think should be halfway through the riff, they'll just go into a part that sounds like an ice cream truck. It's just it works.
Oh, I love it.
Nice. I'm gonna definitely check them out later. But it's like that's why I loved all these weird and wonderful bands. Like I went back and was revisiting some of the old Tensions Arise like videos. And I went back and found the one that we put up from when we played in New York and all the bands that we played with there. And this one fucking band, I don't even know if they're online actually, if they got their stuff out there. All of the Albatross. And they are what they basically described themselves at the time. Oh, there we go. As I think it was epic progressive jazz metal was the label that they'd put on themselves. And they were like the way they would just switch from really like heavy brutal stuff through to like a funky jazz style line and then back again and then just weave it all together, and the singer was doing all sorts of crazy shit over the top of it, and it'd just be an absolute chaotic cacophony at one moment and then sound like it was just weird layers that didn't sort of match up, and then it would all just come around and cycle in together into something. It's just it's wild, and I still like going back and listening to their stuff.
It's one thing to just do all those things, but to make it work is insane.
12-foot ninja, man.
12 foot ninja.
12 foot.
The way they jump between vibes is incredible. I'm still sad that
they'll be back. They'll be back.
I think so. I hope they come back soon.
Nikki said that she ain't got she's got all your merch. There ain't no new merch for her to get. Like she's got all your
she
merch.
got all the new stuff.
She got it all.
Thank you, Nikki. Second of all, there'll be new merch at some stage. The show
and gift it to friends.
Show is on Saturday. Let's just chill.
And then we got X Paddles going. Poor bass players buying these thick ass strings. Yeah, well, a lot of bands are ditching bass players altogether. They're just getting 2 blokes with 7 strings and forgetting bass players.
I feel your pain, mate. I feel your pain. Especially when if you need to go to something like Kalium strings and they got to ship them internationally, so. To make it worth it, you got to order a whole bunch of them, and then the shipping fucking is stupid because it's so heavy. And if you want to get the thick enough ones, it's just yeah.
His brother-in-law works at Guitar Factory in Penrith and just stocks them for him. So
nice. And then, as someone known for their love for Machine Head, I just can't be fucked with their new stuff. It's fair. That's fair. I think that's referring to when we were talking about old bands just not progressing.
Yeah, like
I
mean, look, I think the most recent album they put out does seem to be like I like that more than their last few. But that's I still don't think it's anything new from them. Realistically, it's just they've been around so long. It's hard to not rehash what you've already done.
Well, that's what I was trying to say, sort of about the new Butterfly Effect album. Fantastic album, but it's like they never left. Do you know what I mean? Like after having that, so like you'd expect to see something sort of big and different after having that sort of. But like Matt, I'm a happy fan. Do you know what I mean? Like I guess I think my expectation was after 10 years, or let's see what's changed, and nothing changed. You don't fix what isn't broken. That's fucking common sense.
Yeah. Well, if you like. Yeah, I guess that's one of the things, like if you like Butterfly Effect, you'll probably like the new album. if you're not a fan of them before.
I've
it's
not
really
listened
good
to the
take
new
them on.
stuff, but they were incredible back in the day when I used to.
Dude, they're
I used to catch
playing-
them at a few shows here and there.
They're playing this Saturday at the Roundhouse with Thornhill and someone else, but I'm so keen for Thornhill.
Ben too.
Oh, they are. And then Spooky Bleak, thank you very much for the follow. I think we're all caught up.
Hey, more- thank you so much.
And then
everybody.
I feel like Nikki Hunter says, I feel like I lost my passion once Dave McLean and Phil DeMel left. Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
yeah.
I mean, it's like it's like with
It's a
Lamb of
Rob
God
Flynn
as well,
show,
like
isn't
I
it
said
now?
before. Yeah, very much. It's kind of all Rob Flynn stuff, but it's like, I mean, the other band, when I mentioned Lamb of God before, like they haven't been the same since Adler left on drums. Like since he stopped playing drums for him, there was something about his style that was very unique, gave them a definite vibe, and that's just not the same now with it, because he'd have a very specific way of playing drums that only he did.
Yeah.
And whoever they got playing drums for him now, while he's very talented to be able to play what he's playing, he just hit the original stuff that he's come up with. It doesn't have the same energy.
I think it was that unison between the Adler brothers on the guitar and the drums, just the way he followed him. It was beautiful. I love Lamb of God.
I mean, yeah, they're still a good band. They're still earn every inch of their success, and I hope they continue on for as long as they want to continue on. It doesn't vibe quite the same way for me. I think with the newer stuff is all, but yeah. Well, have you got Kyle? Have you got any rants? Anything you want to?
Okay.
That's got up your skin lately? Oh, okay. Here we go.
Oh,
All right.
So I saw something today and it got to me. So you heard of the band Volumes, Dave?
Have?
Yeah,
I'm
well,
a big fan.
yeah, well, they released I put this in very big fucking quotation marks, a new single this week off the album that came out last year. So the song Bend
Okay.
off the new album.
When I say huge fan, I was a huge fan of Fire. Everything after that,
Okay.
I sort of.
Well, it's off there. Let's see. I can't remember what the album's called now. Fuck. Damn it, my memory.
There was another album that came out after Fire, and I listened to that. And then after that, I know they kicked out a singer, then they got a singer back and kicked the other one out.
Yeah. So that's it.
Someone in the band passed away, and
Yeah, the guitarist. So what happened was the guitarist passed away. The little Mexican fella decided to get into rap. He decided, no, I'm not doing this metal stuff no more. I'm getting into rap. They brought out an album called Happier in 2021, and I went, oh, they got a new track out on Spotify. Bang, hit it. And I went, I've heard this fucking song.
right.
The only, I've never, ever, for the, unless it's like a re-recorded thing, but they didn't really specify in it whether it was a re-recording or anything like that. But yeah, I basically just went back. It's called, you got Bend, and then they've called it Bended. The intro's the exact same. I knew the words of the song before, you know what I mean? I've never seen a fucking band do that before. It was just fucking strange. I don't know, has anyone ever seen a band bring out a single, which is a cracking song on the album? It's probably one of my favourite songs on the album. That's why I noticed it straight away. But a year later, and then they bring it out as a three track, and it's got like an acoustic, an unplugged version, and a fucking no vocals version.
Well, that's what bands used to do all the time.
I was going to say a lot of those bands do that the lo-fi songs now and stuff like that.
Like people would be releasing singles for ages after an album came out, and it'd have the album version, the radio version, and a live track.
But see, I've always remembered the single coming out before the album as a precursor to get people to buy the album. So it's
whenever clip drops. Usually it's whenever the film clip drops. That's how it used to be. There'd be the album would come out, and then they'd do. You would do a single or two prior to the album, but you'd also have some.
People make money off streams now, so you got to just keep
you got to keep
fucking
doing
with
it.
the content you've got to boost the streams, I guess.
Well,
and that's why you see so many bands, especially in like the hip hop side of things. I think doing a string of singles, they'll do like 12 individual songs that they'll just drop as singles, and then they'll repackage it all with the same IRSC codes and everything, and re-put it up there as like an album, and be like, hey, this is the album.
Yeah.
Material that you've spent the last 18 months releasing already. But apparently the reason they do that as well is by doing that, when they do it as the album, they put the same like identifier codes onto the album version of the tracks, and what that means is when it goes up onto the platform, say Spotify as an example, Spotify reads the plays against all the singles, read as the plays against the album versions as well. So then the album goes up and Spotify goes, oh, this album's been up 1 day and it has all these plays on it already. We'll push it. The algorithm is going to push it.
Thank you.
And
I'm thinking
like
back in the old CD days where you used to go. They used to release 2 singles off the album to promote the album, and you'd get the 2 singles, and you'd sit there with the 2 singles and fucking listen to the shit out of them, and then a month later you'd go run out and go buy the album. I'm old.
I remember those days. These are the old HMV sanity days.
Yeah. You remember what HMV stands for? Did you ever know?
His master's voice.
Yeah.
I feel like I probably did, but I'm guessing you're about to tell me.
Yeah, it was his
Yeah,
master's
his-
voice. Yeah. That's why they had
There you
That's
go.
the dog
I didn't know
listening.
that. I did not know
The
that.
dog listening to the gramophone, he was hearing his master's voice. That was yeah.
Yeah, the old HMV
Is that a
logo.
load of shit?
No, I'm being dead serious. What it was a dog sitting in front of a what's them old school
Yeah, gramophone.
gramophone, and it was just had his
Would have
master's
been
voice
like-
on playback.
It would have been like hottest music videos or some shit.
It was probably some old school experiment that the guy did because he didn't want his dog to be lonely after he died or something. Probably. Who knows? Who knows? The world's a wacky place.
Yeah, all right. So what have we got coming up, man? What's going on? What have you said you got? What do you got coming up for Beer Buddy?
I've got Greg from Noise Pollution coming on next week.
Ooh!
Yeah, we're going to have a good old yarn. That is going to be an absolute cracker. The guy's an absolutely fantastic reviewer, writer in general. It's going to be, I met him at Gymna.
Yep. He made very complimentary things about both Skunkbone and Nuclear Vision. So give him my love, and we'll get him on here as well at some point.
Yeah. So just really want to find out how his maturity is played into this whole noise pollution thing, because the guy knows his shit.
Definitely. He definitely has been around for a while, and he knows his stuff. That much is obvious from everything I've read from his reviews. So
And the fact that he pumped out, like, what was it, 50-something reviews over a 2-day period?
Oh, yeah. He writes them and puts them up so damn quick.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
They were coming up as the bands were coming off. Like, it was fucking nuts. But that's the 14th. So next Friday over on the Beer Buddy channel on YouTube, we'll have Greg on from Noise Pollution.
That's awesome. So in my camp, we've got Skunkbone is we're releasing a series of live videos from our recent show at Tomcat. We recorded those. We tried to mix up some decent audio from that. So, and Zach's cut together a bunch of videos. So that's awesome. Those are going to be coming out every week on our YouTube channel. So that's good. We've also got a Halloween show coming up on, let me make sure I get the date right for this one. It's going to be Saturday the 29th of October. That's at Tribe Clubhouse down in Redcliffe. So if you're in Brisbane and you want to come down to that one, make sure you do that. We'll be playing, there's like 7 other bands on there. There's Trip Sitters on there, Frozen Eddie.
Fuck, I love Trip
We've just
Sitter.
launched a new song as well. So that's going to be awesome. It's all costumes and shit because it's Halloween. So that's going to be a good one. I think there's merch pack prizes and stuff for good costumes. And it's all ages too. So
Oh, hectic.
you get your tickets through OzTix for that one. Nuclear Vision, we've got a couple of shows coming up as well. We've got like Kaiju Fest and Metal Mayhem shows. That's at Mansfield and Toowoomba respectively. Those are coming up in November, so that's going to be good. Got a lot of things happening, I guess. So yeah, and Dave, what's so you don't have any other shows lined up for you guys at the moment, is that right? Nothing locked in?
Stuff being discussed, nothing booked just yet, but you'll definitely hear from us at some point. There'll be some stuff going on, probably early next year to mid next year. We'll be rocking and rolling again.
That's great. Well, if anyone wants to keep up with what Shinto Katana's doing, go and follow on all the social media stuff. If you want to keep up with what we're doing, go and follow our social medias. Like, share, and subscribe, all of that good stuff. Go and follow the Beer Buddy page. Go and follow the Skunkbone and Nuclear Vision pages.
Go and follow Shinto Katana page. We said that already, but let's do it again.
Follow Shinto Katana. If you're a muso or you're in the music business watching and you've got anything you want to talk about, want to come on the podcast, hit us up, drop us a line, we'll do that. If you're a fan watching and you've got anyone you want us to try and talk to, when you want us to try and get on here, put it in the comments, send us an email to music@gmail.com. yeah, all that good stuff. You know, we're always down to talk to people. And I think the next episode of this is going to be episode number 10.
Whoa,
So
we've hit double digits.
We will have hit double digits. That's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Right, please.
We should. Oh, thank you. We should try to do a special Halloween special for that, maybe. Ooh.
Oh, what's that? Let's try and look.
The
at
Thursday,
that.
the Thursday before. It'll be like the 27th.
27th. I'm not going to be able to do that. The 27th. I got a gig on that. I'm going to see a gig. I have tickets to something on that one, so we wouldn't be able to do it to 27th. I'm afraid, my man. But we'll organise something special. I'm sure
We
try and
can
do that. But yeah, that'll be number 10. So that's awesome. And yeah, look, thank you again to Dave for coming on and talking to us.
Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule, brother.
Thanks for having me on, boys.
Thank you so much. If you guys have anything major that's coming up down the line, you want to talk about it, you want to announce, get the word out, we're happy to have you on again for sure. We'll try, as I said, when you guys get up to Brisbane, definitely I'll try and keep an eye out and get along to that, so we can I can give you a dap in person. And
To all mate, just
good stuff, all good stuff.
seriously, just congratulations on all the recent success after a 10-year break. You deserve all the fucking accolades in the world.
Thank you, man.
Man, he's a fucking. He's about to fuck shit up.
It's incredible,
He's
man.
not gonna want to, but he's
Living a movie. Well, thank you.
it. Nah, perfect, bro. And to all you lovely people out there that got involved in the chat and asked questions, and it's Spooky
much,
Bleak
boy.
has turned around and said he copped about 7 elbows at your Sydney show. Well worth it. There you go. And yeah, all you beautiful people.
I copped a few as well.
We really appreciate everyone tuning in and coming to say hi and just getting involved, because yeah, at the end of the day, we do so much, but you guys are the actual scene. You guys are the punters.
Absolutely. Without you guys, it'd just be me and Kyle sitting here talking to ourselves. So, thank you so much, everyone. And just as we always say, we always wrap this up in a similar way. Like, you know, the world's pretty crazy out there these days. So just please take care of yourself. Take care of the people around you. You know, everyone can use a helping hand from time to time. So, stay rad, legends. Like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Thank you again to Dave from Shinto Katana. Thank you again to my co-host Kyle. You're a rad motherfucker.
I love you, Rafi.
Yeah. Fuck out. I take it back. No, thank you. Thank you so much, dude. And thank you very much to everyone watching, and we will catch you guys at the next one.
See you
Stay
later.
legends.
Peace.